Alright, so I kind of feel like Dana White's been going through a midlife crisis lately, and the prime example of this is his network of friendships with all of these online influencers. And of course, the guy's allowed to have whatever friends he wants, but the thing that I care most about is how his relationships with these dorks have led to them being prominently featured in the UFC's programming, and I don't fucking like it. I find it really annoying that my UFC experience is growing increasingly tainted by these attention-addicted hacks, and that I'm forced to be exposed to these weirdos that I went out of my way to avoid for years now. And the worst part about it is that given his strange personal relationships that Dana has formed with these kids that are half of his age, I really think that these influencers are going to be a more prevalent part of the UFC moving forward. This whole clown show started off with the Thenek Boys a couple of years back when Dana's son randomly met these guys in a pub. And once Dana was introduced to them, I guess he really hit it off with these guys that are over 20 years younger than him. And ever since about 2020, the Thenek Boys have developed a close business and personal relationship with Dana. They were special guests at Fight Island during the COVID era of the UFC, then we started seeing Dana playing blackjack with them all the time, then they started becoming on-air personalities during UFC media events, and we've seen Dana appear on the Full Send podcast multiple times. Mind you, Dana's only appeared on the JRE like twice in the last 15 years, so I think it says a lot about their friendship that he's been on the Nelk podcast 3 times in the last 12 months. And then we have the very famous incident of Dana gifting the founder of the Nelk Boys, Kyle Forgard, $250,000 for his birthday.
Holy sh! Oh, holy fuck. back to Tootsie's? That's bro.
You're welcome.
If you're watching this video, then I'm sure you're already aware that this happened, but when it went down in 2022, many UFC fans, including myself, thought it was very bizarre. Shit, I still think it's really weird that Dana did this. Like Dana White, who's borderline criminally underpaying his athletes, is just gifting $250,000 to a dude 23 years younger than him, who, mind you, is already filthy rich as is. Bro, you have fighters on your roster that are working multiple jobs while they're signed in the UFC. Do you not think that this money could be allocated in a better way? And look, man, I agree with Dana that it's his money and he can do whatever he wants with it, but at the same time, I'm allowed to think that him giving all these fat stacks of cash to a guy that he met through his son is a strange thing to do. And let's be real here, I'm sure that Dana and the Nelk Boys genuinely do have a good relationship with one another, but you can't convince me that these guys aren't clout chasing off of Dana by way of their friendship to some degree. Yes, of course, Dana is filthy rich in his own right, but Dana's vast connections in both the business and political worlds are invaluable, and although I don't doubt the Nelk Boys like the UFC, I'm positive that their, as well as all of these other influencers, loyalty to him is massively tied to his growing influence and power. Anyways, the most recent influencer to cross into the Dana sphere is this girl who goes by the name Jellybean Brains, but I'm just gonna call her Bonita because that's her actual last name. And if you're wondering who this girl is, then don't worry because I didn't know either. However, once she started collaborating with Dana to promote Power Slap, I quickly found out that she's a very popular influencer in the adult variety. Specifically, Bonita here is one of the biggest OnlyFans creators on the entire platform, and our good old Dana decided that she's the best person for the job to help spread awareness for his totally legit sporting organization, Power Slap. Does your wife know that you're making videos with this girl, Dana? These two have done 3 videos together in a span of a month. The first video that they made together is this dumb little video where Dana's wheeling her around in a suitcase, where the purpose of it is solely for her to show off that she's making big name connections.
I like my suitcase. I like my suitcase.
I guess this is like a TikTok trend to film your head sticking out of a suitcase, and much like all other TikTok trends, it's outrageously dumb. But honestly, I can't help but laugh whenever I watch this video. Not because of her, obviously not, but because Dana looks so ridiculously awkward wheeling this girl around. Like, look at the expression on his face as he stares blankly off screen. This is not the charismatic and outspoken Dana White that we've all come to know throughout the years. This is a guy that clearly had to be convinced to do this stupid little video, and I really get a kick out of how stiff and wooden he looks here. Then there's this video where they announced that they partnered together to give away a Power Slap branded McLaren.
She paid $200,000 for this car at the Vegas Auto Gallery, and she's giving it to you for free. The way you enter is go to powerslap.com. This little badass is giving away a $200,000 car. We will see you Friday night.
Okay, stop the cap, Dana. This girl did not spend 200 G's of her own money to buy a McLaren that has power slap and her name on the hood of the car only to give it away. How dumb does Dana think we are, man? Like, he definitely had the car custom made himself and put their names on it. Also, would any of you guys actually want to drive this car around? I get that it's a McLaren, but would any of you actually feel comfortable driving around in a car that has an OF model's name emblazoned on the front? Honestly, even if it only had the power slap logo on the hood, I'd probably still feel slightly embarrassed about being a moving billboard for the dumbest sport in existence. But with her name on the car, then everyone on the road is going to know that you're the king simp of all simps. Alright, and the last video that they made is them informing the winner of the giveaway that he won the car, and yeah, I don't know, man, there's not much to say about it. And look, man, I'm a big believer that if you're an adult, you have a right to choose whatever profession you want to pursue. But hey, Dana, keep this cringy thought off of my feed. I follow Dana and the UFC on social media to keep up with fight news and updates, not to watch him gallivant around with a girl whose existence I was way better off not knowing about. And this is kind of what I mean when I say that Dana's going through a midlife crisis, because there's just no way that we would have seen the Dana of 10 to 15 years ago partaking in online trends and making videos with girls like this. I've been watching the UFC since 2008, and this feels like such a weird character turn from the guy, and I'm not gonna lie, it kind of feels like him desperately trying to appeal to the young folks now that he's reaching his mid-50s. And you know what? When you go into the comments of any of these videos, it's a unanimous decision loss for Dana by the fans. Literally every single comment is either people making fun of Dana, criticizing Dana, or just being downright disappointed in Dana for partnering with Benitez. And frankly, I get it. He had loads of choices to be the face of this giveaway, and instead he found a girl that gives away loads on her face. Okay, the next influencer that I want to talk about is Aiden Ross, who has properly infiltrated the UFC as well as Dana's personal life, much like the Thenek Boys. And to Aiden's credit, he actually does seem to enjoy the UFC product for what it is, probably even more so than the Thenek Boys from what I've seen. But the thing is, this guy is such a doofus. Just check out this clip from a live stream that he did with Dana and Islam Makhachev from last week.
I've been through something traumatic. I've been stabbed like by a knife before, so it's like an adrenaline rush you get like when you get stabbed. So I want to know like this was like when I was like 12 in my sleep I got stabbed, but like obviously like I'm way past that. It was by a family member who was on some meth, like my uncle. But like obviously I used that to like obviously like I went through something traumatic super young.
Can you repeat the question? I don't understand.
So trauma. Do you use trauma or do you use trauma as fuel?
No, never.
It's like, could he have made this interaction any more awkward and uncomfortable? Look at Islam's face as Aiden is waffling about, only for him to get his dumbass question immediately shut down by Islam. And sure, there has to be some fighters that do in fact use their personal trauma as a driving force in their career, but one, this is not really an appropriate question to ask people. And two, if you are gonna ask a question like this to a fighter, how about you find a graceful way to ask it instead of doing it in the weirdest way possible like Ross did here. I love the look on his face after Islam simply says no, because you see that he realizes how clumsy all of this was. This is what I mean when I say that a mob of talentless hacks has infiltrated the UFC, because Aiden's job as a live streamer and influencer is to simply be charismatic on camera, yet here he is falling flat on his face at his job. And then there's this super uncomfortable clip of Ross playing blackjack with Dana where he intentionally tries to ignore saying hi to Joe Rogan.
It's all good. That's right here.
Is the camera angle right?
That's right.
What's up, Jay? How you doing?
Like, I don't know if Aiden was trying to big bro Joe here or what, but he goes out of his way to shake hands with everybody in the vicinity and completely ignores Joe even though he's literally right in front of him. Then without even acknowledging Joe's existence, he tries to walk off only for Dana to stop him in his tracks and then command him to greet Joe like the dog that Aiden is. And my god, the look of visceral cringe that runs through Joe's entire body is priceless, because I really get the feeling that he picked up on Aiden trying to flex over him. Hey man, I make fun of Joe a lot on this channel because let's be real here, Joe's a silly guy who does silly things, but at the end of the day, if I was in a room with Joe, I would try my best to say hello to him without coming off like a fool. The guy is an absolute legend, and seeing as Aiden has hitched his wagon to the UFC, he needs to show some damn respect to one of the most key figures in building up the brand that he's clout chasing onto. I really do feel like Aiden was trying to do a power move on Joe here, and I'm glad that Dana made Aiden fall in line. And then there are clips of Aiden play fighting with some UFC fighters. Islam tricks him into getting ankle locked here. There's this clip of him getting calf kicked by Alex Pereira, and then he spent a couple of minutes sparring Sean O'Malley as well. like I said, I actually do get the feeling that Aiden respects the sport of MMA, and I actually think it's cool that he's willing to get hit and choked for the sake of content instead of asking the fighters to do a stupid little TikTok dance trend with them or something. But at the end of the day, does Aiden need to be such a prevalent face in UFC media and content? Do the Thenek Boys or that OF girl really need to have this much of an important role to play in today's UFC marketing and advertising? There's even another major influencer who goes by the name Neon who's been doing live streams hanging out with the fighters lately, but honestly, I kind of refuse to talk about that guy because he gives me the creeps. And look, I'm not a complete moron. It's obvious that Dana finds value in befriending these influencers in order to have the UFC reach a younger audience. I understand that. But I do think that there are better ways for Dana to reach a younger audience instead of having these kids shilling for him. And I'm gonna say it again, I kind of feel like Dana's going through a midlife crisis because hanging out with these influencers might make him feel youthful again or whatever, and that's fine, I guess. He can be friends with all these kids if he wants, just stop forcing me to watch them. And don't get me wrong, I think it's great that the UFC has become so culturally significant to the point where influencers want to hang out at events and around fighters, but I feel like this is rapidly turning into a clown show. Anyways, that's the video for today. Definitely let me know what you think about the rapid increase of influencer appearances in all things UFC and Dana White related. Are you annoyed like I am that these influencers are popping up so often in today's UFC, or do you not mind it? As always, if you like the video, then like the video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. I appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.